Namaste, nerds. This is Navinad, Budget Pub Stomper. Today we've got something special. I just got done goldfishing this Kotis the Fangkeeper, and I have a kind of a weird feeling like we might have just got a new kind of thing here. This commander, I mean, it reads pretty good, right? Like, I thought this is going to be a pretty good little value engine. It's going to be fun, but this might actually be a new way to play. I mean, that sounds crazy. I think you're gonna have to watch some of the goldfishing. This could open up a whole new way of playing cEdh or budget competitive. This feels like nothing I've ever played with before. Now, obviously, you'd need to have actual opponents to really try to play this deck against to see what it would really actually do. But I'm talking about goldfishing situations where I'm smacking in for 7 damage on turn 4 with Kotis and like evasive damage. And if you're not familiar, let's talk about the commander first. Sorry, I'm a little bit excited, and I think we might have to do some goldfishing so you can see what I'm talking about. But this thing is a Sultia 1, so it's 4 mana for a 2/1 indestructible, and says whenever Kotis deals combat damage to a player, exile the top X cards of their library, where X is the amount of damage dealt. You may cast any number of spells with mana value X or less from among them without paying their mana cost. So, if you whack somebody for 7, you're going to exile the top 7 cards of their library. Then you're going to be able to cast any number of those for free. I mean, as long as they're, CMC 7 or less, spoiler alert, they are. That's freaking crazy. So, after goldfishing the deck, I actually think there might be another way to build this deck. This is going to sound insane, but where you literally go all in on this guy, and you can just start murdering people maybe, but even aside from that, if you're digging 7, 10, 12 more cards deep, and you're able to just cast all of their things, you may actually be able to assemble other people's win cons pretty effectively and make them dead with commander damage if it comes to it. But that's that's a little bit of speculation. I think we're going to have to see how the commander plays out in real pods before we think about moving towards that direction. But I want to bring you what I've got so far. And this was it's a very cool commander. It was a very fun deck it was a hard deck to build. And we'll talk a little bit about why it was so damn complicated to build. So, first of all, the win condition. That was the big problem. And it kind of had me thinking, like, it doesn't seem like this should be a tall order, right? We're playing a $100 budget competitive deck. I'm just looking for a combo. I've got 3 colors. Why would that be difficult? And I had a little bit of an a realization. And that realization is that in budget competitive, most of the commanders that are good, most of the really good, powerful decks, the commander actually is part of the win condition. And I know that's like kind of falls into the no shit category in a way, but in a way not too, because if you're used to playing cEdh, some of the best cEdh decks, the commanders don't really have anything to do with their wins. Tymna and Crom. T and K, they're just value engines. And it's totally serviceable to have a value engine in your command zone, even in budget competitive. Not saying that it's not. It's just that most of the good decks don't happen to work that way. In budget competitive, we're using a lot of... Because you don't have access to the most powerful win lines in a $100 budget deck, like the just generic go in any deck kind of win conditions. Well, like Thassa's Oracle Demonic Consultation, because that's just going to set you back so much in terms of the budget. Like Tainted Pact, Thassa's Oracle, Demonic Consultation, you get that package and that's like $40. Plus then you have to have a Tainted mana base, which this deck does. My version here does have a Tainted mana base. I did not slip Tainted Pact in, although you definitely could do. You could run Tainted Pact. I opted to go with the Hermit Druid. Let's get into it. So, how do we actually plan to win the game? So, I mean, number one, honestly, might be storming off with their decks. That kind of thing could end up being a very viable path to victory. But we can't rely on it. We can't depend on it. And like I was saying, knowing that in the budget competitive sphere, a lot of your opponent's win conditions are going to be at least partly in their command zones. I don't think you can really count on that for budget competitive, right? Or at least I think you need to have a pretty solid plan A, and maybe use that as sort of a more of a plan B, or even a plan C, because you could get in a pod with like Malcolm and maybe Kinnon's a bad example. Maybe not. How does Kinnon win? Magda, Slavala, Malcolm. If those are your opponents, like, you can't just find somebody's Glinthorn Buccaneer combo and murder them that way. Although you probably could find their backup combos. But we wanted to have our own combos. So the very first thing that came to mind was, the first thing that came to mind is this is harder than I thought it was going to be. Because again, we normally use our commanders to assist our wins, and this commander is like, it's going to have crazy value and disruption value. It's going to have serious value. But aside from that, we have to find a way to win the game. So I started looking for win cons, and I thought, I don't want to spend that much budget on the Demonic Consultation Thassa's Oracle. So I went with Divining Witch. This was my first combo that I stuck in the game, or in the deck, was Divining Witch plus Laboratory Maniac. Now, in order to use that combo, you want to have some cantrips and things like, Conjurer's Bauble, and ways to draw a card for one, or ideally for no mana. Cantrips. Opt. Consider. What do we do? Just consider, opt. I think some of the buff spells are cantrips. Also, some of the things we're gonna do to augment our commander will have us drawing a card, so we can do like we can do our labman combo and then attack with Kotis, and maybe it's got like a bear umbra, is that what it's called? Snake umbra, one of the umbras. Maybe it's got an umbra on it. What the hell is it? Right there. So we do our Laboratory Maniac combo, then we go to combat with our commander, and it's got the Snake Umbra on it. So it hits somebody, and then you're able to draw a card, and when you draw off of an empty library with Laboratory Maniac, you win the game. So this was the first win con little combo that I stuck in the deck. Divining Witch is Thassa's, is Demonic Consultation on a stick. So this is a little 1/1 creature where you can pay 2 mana and tap to discard a card, and that card basically becomes Demonic Consultation. You just do a Demonic Consultation. And so if you've got Laboratory Maniac and you've got Divining Witch ready to activate, you activate Divining Witch, you name a card that doesn't exist in your library, and then you deck yourself. And then when you deck yourself, as soon as you have to draw a card, or whenever you're able to draw a card, the next time you would draw a card, you win the game with Laboratory Maniac, because that's what Laboratory Maniac does. It says if you would draw a card when your library has no cards in it, you win the game instead. So if I was going to do Divining Witch and Laboratory Maniac, it seemed like I was going to want to have ways to protect Divining Witch and give it haste. And I thought that was kind of a good little layered kind of, I thought it had good synergy, or good overlap, I guess that's the way to put it, that it had good overlap with the commander, because you're probably going to want to put things like boots on your Kotis the Fangkeeper to keep it safe, because it's like the thing that your deck is doing, and a lot of the cards in your deck get a whole lot worse without your commander in play. So since we kind of want to haste enable and give our commander protection anyway, Divining Witch goes up in power, because the big problem with Divining Witch normally would be when you play it, it's got Summoning Sickness, and it's only a 1/1, and so making it back to your turn with this thing still in play can be a bit of a chore. But we're playing a ton of ways to protect it and or to haste enable it. And so that makes it a lot more likely we get back around or that we don't even need to get back around. We can just immediately activate on our turn, the turn we play it. So now we're building layers, right? So we've got Divining Witch, Laboratory Maniac, and Kotis that are all going to enjoy something like Lava Spur Boots and Lightning Greaves. And I even put the whole trifecta in and put the Swiftfoot Boots in to boot, right? So in that vein, if we know that part of our game plan is going to involve trying to deck out with Divining Witch and win with Laboratory Maniac, then we probably want to back up for that. And so that's where I love this art. You know, I normally don't like these weird arts, but I'm really surprised that this Japanese version of Jace, this is just Jace, Wielder of Mysteries. It's Lab Jace. So this is, if we're going to do this combo, and this is going to be like our main win, with Laboratory Maniac, we need a backup, and that's going to be this. And another reason I thought that this would be a good way to go for the deck, for this exact deck, is because if we're going to try to cobble a combo together using some of our opponent's cards, probably we ought to use one of the more popular ways to win a competitive game. Because it's just more likely that we're going to be able to find those cards in our opponent's decks. If they're more popular, then they are going to be easier to find in our opponent's decks, basically by definition, right? So not at all unlikely that we're going to be able to attack with our commander and find somebody else's Laboratory Maniac, cast it, then use our Divining Witch to win the game, or our Wielder of Mysteries to win the game. And so since we're going to be doing this, since our your dead cards are going to be Labman and Lab Jace, and since we're going to be using ways to haste enable and protect our important pieces, including a little 1/1 dinky dude, well, it seems like the logical place to go from there, if we're going to have a layered kind of backup win con, is just obviously got to be Hermit Druid. Now, I hate this damnable art, but man, we're at $99.93, and it wasn't easy. Because when we decided to play the Hermit Druid, that means we've got to play 0 basic lands in a $100 deck, and that's not all that easy. But I want to show you what the Hermit Druid... Let's just look at a normal version of Hermit. How much difference? Yeah, literally, if I played one of these, not this one, it would put me over. Is that right? No, I can squeeze this in. Here, let's do this. We're going to select this and still... No, we're at $100.38. Okay, well, I just want you to be able to read the card for now. So Hermit Druid is a 1/1 creature again. It's another 2-mana 1/1 creature where you can tap... you put mana into it, you tap it, and you empty your library. This one says, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a basic land card. Put that land card into your hand, and all other cards revealed that way into your graveyard. So we're going to be using this as another way to deck out, which did mean that we had to use, or well... if we're going to be trying to use the Hermit Druid as a backup combo for our Divining Witch, relying on Laboratory Maniac for the kill, then we can't play any basics. And so we don't play any basics, and that was an expensive endeavor. Okay, so if you're not familiar with the way the Hermit Druid wins normally work. So it can be as simple as I've got Laboratory Maniac, or I'm digging through somebody else's deck and I find a Thassa's Oracle, and I cast their Thassa's Oracle and hold priority, and in response I'm going to activate Hermit Druid and reveal cards from the top of my library until I reveal a basic land card. And since there are no basic land cards, you're going to flip all the... well, it says put all the other cards that you revealed this way into your graveyard. There's no basics in the deck, so that's going to be all of them. You're going to flip all of your cards into your graveyard, and you're going to win the game with your Thassa's Oracle that you shanked from somebody else. You yoinked, I believe is the better word, that you yoinked from somebody else's deck. Or we're going to use Dread Return. So if we don't have our laboratory maniac or our Jace in play or in hand, if we're not able to play them, we can activate Hermit Druid. And so long as we have Hermit Druid along with 2 other creatures, we can immediately win the game with no further mana investment. So we can use, let me paint you this scenario. We've got Hermit Druid, we've got Kotis the Fang Keeper, and we've got Elvish Mystic in play. That's our entire board state. We don't have or need anything else. We don't have our labman. We didn't find somebody's Thoracle. So what we can do is we pay our 1 green mana by tapping the Elvish Mystic. We activate the Hermit Druid, and we reveal cards. We start flipping cards off the top of our library and put them into our graveyard. Along the way, we will reveal Dread Return. So this will be in our graveyard. And now we will sacrifice Hermit, well, because we're also going to have Laboratory Maniac in our graveyard because it's in the deck, right? So we will sacrifice Hermit Druid, the Elvish Mystic, and our commander. So that is flashback, sacrifice 3 creatures to return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. And that is going to be Laboratory Maniac. And this is why we've got bauble type things and cantrips, so that you can do this actually and just win the game straight away from there. Now if you've got say Hermit Druid and I don't know, two dorks and a fauna shaman, then you can sacrifice well, whatever, you sacrifice whichever ones are the least valuable to you. And you flash back your Laboratory Maniac, and then you go to combat with your Kotis, and it is equipped with one of these effects that causes you to draw a card, Combat Research, say. So we're going to then hit somebody with the Combat Research attached, which is an enchantment that says enchanted creature has, whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. So there's your draw trigger. You draw off an empty library. You've got your lab man in play. You win the game. This also gives your dude wards, so makes it a little bit harder for you to get blown out. Snake Umbra, kind of the same idea. It gives your commander +1, which means you're digging deeper through your opponent's deck. And it has, whenever this creature deals combat damage, or deals damage to an opponent, you may draw a card. But it also has totem armor, which is kind of like having a shield counter on your guy. So if somebody kills your dude, you remove the totem armor. So basically, if enchanted creature would be destroyed, you remove it and you don't destroy it instead. I guess that's actually more useful on a Hermit Druid or a Divining Witch than it is on Kotis, because Kotis is indestructible just naturally. Now, indestructible is not what it maybe once was, remember. Most of the removal in more competitive environments is going to be bounce and exile removal. And if your commander is going to get bounced or exiled, that indestructibility doesn't really matter. This could help you survive board wipes, and that's another thing you could do in the deck, is you could play a bunch of board wipes, or play a number of board wipes, but really the only good ones don't, well, so there are some good ones, but I guess in order to play like a board wipe tribal deck with Kotis, which, you know, it's got some value to the idea, because you can keep the board clear, which allows you to keep getting through with your Kotis. If you just use a bunch of board wipes that say destroy all creatures, then that'll leave your guy in play. The problem is I decided to play all these creatures that matter, and like the best board wipes in our colors are not actually going to destroy all the creatures anyway, so I didn't do that. You could in your build. Right now I think I would not recommend it. What we're going to do is we're going to hop this guy up on steroids. We're going to get him all juiced up, work him out, get him buff, get him big, get him mean, and then we're gonna protect him, and then we're gonna use him to kind of push our entire strategy forward by exiling our opponent's things that are important, and exiling their tutors and finding our combo pieces, and exiling their removal pieces to kill their stuff, and just being an overall kind of pain in the ass. But we are looking to hop this guy up, and let's take a look at some of the ways we've got some combat tricks that'll do that. So you go to combat with your guy, your opponents decide not to, or your opponent decides not to block, and you cast Invigorate for free, and your dude gets +4/+4. So now you're digging 6 cards deep. Or you hit it with a Simic Charm, which is a nice piece of interaction in this deck. It can be a bounce spell, or it can give target creature +3/+3. So that'll make it 3 power bigger, which is going to dig you 3 cards deeper and allow you to cast converted mana cost spells 3 higher. Or if somebody tries to murder your dude with a Swords to Plowshare, you can protect it with the second ability of the Simic Charm, which is permanents you control gain hexproof until end of turn. That's pretty good. So we've got kind of a lot of things like that. Slip out the back, Simic Charm, ways to grant hexproof to protect our rather fragile Divining Witch and Hermit Druid, but also protect our commander. And when we had the option, we used ones that also could leave some kind of a buff behind. So slip out the back. This one's nice. So Might of the Nephilim, 2 mana instant. Target creature gets +2 until end of turn for each of its colors. That's gonna give our dude +6/+6. That's nasty. So we'll go 8 deep and be able to cast really anything we run into. All of the, not anything, all of the things that we run into. So we've got a bunch of those. We've got some equipments. So the combat tricks are going to be like Invigorate, I think, is my favorite. Might of the Nephilim is not too far behind. Simic Charm has all kinds of it's modal. And Staggering Size, it was 2 cents, and I thought it was plenty serviceable. If we have a situation where our opponents have chump blockers, then this can get through the chump blockers. So it's an instant speed giant growth that gives +3/+3 and trample. So if the boards are gummed up, and they do tend to get that way, you'll be glad that you sprang for the extra 1 colorless mana over giant growth, which I left out of the deck, but you could put it in. It's cheap, that's for sure. But also we're going to be equipping the guy. Conqueror's Flail is particularly good in our deck. It's going to protect our wins. Like when we go to win, this just says as long as Conqueror's Flail is attached to a creature, your opponents can't cast spells during your turn. So it's kind of like a Grand Abolisher. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each color among permanents you control, which will very often be 3. So, I mean, it's always going to be at least... No, anytime we put it on the commander, it's going to be 3. So that's going to make this guy at least 5 power just by itself, and give us sort of a silence effect or a Grand Abolisher effect. But my favorite one, well, okay, then we've also got... this is one of my favorites. Dragonfire Blade, 1 mana, equipped creature gets +2/+2 and hexproof from mono-colored. Almost all the good removal spells are only 1 color, and none of them are going to hit our guy. We cannot be Swords to Plowshared or Lightning Bolted or bounced with most bounce spells. It's going to be really hard for somebody to remove our dude if we get the Dragonfire Blade on it. Plus, the equipped creature gets +2/+2, and that just makes it, well, depending on how big it is, well, it makes it 2 bigger, right? And it only costs 1. Now it says the equip cost is 4, and just the fact that there's an equip 4 on here is probably why this thing's only 73 cents, because actually that equip cost is 1 less for each color of the creature's color identity. So, it's color. So our guy is 3 colors, so it only costs 1 mana to play this and 1 to equip it. It gives our dude +2/+2 and makes it pretty much hexproof. Pretty damn much. Pretty close. Very close to that. Then we've got Rancor. I didn't want to go crazy with these enchantments because I don't like the idea of getting blown out. If you've got an enchantment on any of your creatures and the creature gets taken out, you get 2 for 1, right? Like you lose the creature and you lose the enchantment. But Rancor gives us +2 for only 1 mana, which is pretty good rate. And the creature gains trample, which is useful, very good. But it says also that when Rancor's put into the graveyard from battlefield, you're going to return Rancor from the graveyard to your hand. So then we've got we've got the just the best, I would say the best equipments. Dragonfire Blade, Conqueror's Flail, Lava Spur Boots. That's going to give a little bit extra protection. Our guy's going to have Ward 1, which is surprisingly relevant. And it gives it +1 and haste. So I think that's just an all-around good package and worth the 1 mana to put it in play and 1 to equip. We're like playing a Voltron deck in competitive. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, so all of these. Lava Spur Boots, Lightning Greaves. Now you will have to take the Lightning Greaves off. So you'll have to have another creature in play, take the Greaves off in order to, a lot of times in order to put more stuff on your commander and then put the Greaves back on. Swiftfoot Boots. Now, I just had a thought. We might have another way to deck out. Yeah, we could use the Cephalid Illusionist. This might be a real-time edit. I'll tell you what. If it's only 76 cents. Let's take a look at this and make sure I'm thinking about this right. Cephalid Illusionist. 2 mana. When it becomes a target of a spell or ability, put the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard. Yes, yes. Okay, so here it is. This is another win con. I'm glad I didn't find this guy straight away or think of it straight away. I think if I had, I would never have done the Hermit Druid stuff, and I actually really liked the way the deck came out with the Hermit Druid stuff. All right, so that's it's gonna call for a cut. Let's put our Hermit Druid back to his cheaper form, and now we're at $100.43. We need to make a cut that's at least 43 cents. What's gonna be our cut? Maybe Nature's Claim is not necessary because we've got all of the best removal. Yeah, we probably don't need Nature's Claim in this deck. I think if you're Sultai, we probably can get by without the Nature's Claim. There we go. So now we've got another win line in the deck. So this win line, if you're not familiar, you just have to have 2 creatures in play. And one of them has to be the Cephalid Illusionist, and this is going to allow you to deck out. So you can have your Cephalid Illusionist and your Elvish Mystic, and then you get Lightning Greaves, and you can move the Lightning Greaves back and forth from the 2 creatures, and that's going to mill your deck out. And then once you've milled your entire deck out, since we're playing Dread Return, you see, then you can sacrifice your 3 creatures to flash back your win guy, your win guy. And I think that I think this is good enough for the deck. Gives us a little bit extra redundancy. Makes you feel a little bit better about the win lines, and they all work well together. Plus, a huge chunk of the tutors in our deck are for 2 mana spells. So it shouldn't be difficult to find either the Cephalid Illusionist if we already have the Lightning Greaves, or the Lightning Greaves if we already have the Cephalid Illusionist. So we've got Dimir Infiltrator. We can use Divining Witch as a sort of risky tutor, but we've got Dimir Infiltrator transmutes for a 2-drop. And we can use Fauna Shaman can find Cephalid Illusionist or any of our Divining Witch or whatever, any of our creatures. Neoforming a dork finds a creature, but specifically I'm looking for the 2 cost. We've got a lot of 2 mana things that are important, so I thought already it would be good to have the transmutes for 2. What's the other transmute? Oh, Muddle the Mixture. So we've got Muddle the Mixture as another way to find exactly 2 mana things. Then we've got Wishclaw Talisman, obviously, is also in the deck. But never mind all that. I want to get to the most fun, cool, craziest thing in the deck. This card. This card is the coolest card in the deck. I think it's sick. I think you're going to love this if you play this deck. Aura Sanctuary is a 3 mana enchantment in green that says at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control a blue or black permanent, target creature gets +1 until end of turn. If you control a blue permanent and a black permanent, that creature gets +5 instead. So that means that with our 3-color commander, if we've got this enchantment out and we go to combat, well, in fact, just at the beginning of our upkeep. So at the beginning of our upkeep, our commander is going to get +5/+5. So just with this one piece alongside our commander, we're looking at a 7/7. Just with this one piece. So that's kind of like what we're doing with the deck. Now, this was what took so long, and look at all the budget I had to stick into this damnable mana base. But it's worth it. The deck works. I've goldfished it. It flippin' works. Maybe we should goldfish it. How are we doing on time? We'll look at some hands. That's what we'll do. We'll look at some hands. You know, now that I'm looking through the deck again, too, I'm wondering if maybe I could get some more tutors in. I mean, we have a lot of removal. We've got Abrupt Decay. We've got Assassin's Trophy. Drown in the Lock. Fatal Push. Rapid Hybridization. Also Shred Memory. That's another tutor. We've got Bounce Spells. We've got... I don't know. We've got a pretty good spread of tutors, too. And we're liable to find... everybody plays tutors, so we're liable to find tutors in our opponent's decks. God, this was so hard to put this mana base together. Just to find, like, you know, those last 6 or 7 lands when I had, like, $9, $10, $11 allocated to the mana base. Having to find just the last 6 lands that were worth a shit. I just wanted them to come into play untapped, basically, and give me my colors. I had to put some that I really didn't. I mean, all of the lands, well, the last like 10 lands I put in are fairly expensive, but we got there. And you know, I ended up having to cut a card I wanted in the deck very badly. I wanted Mnemonic Betrayal in the deck. I was thinking, if we're casting our opponent's spells, if we're going through their deck and finding their things, having the ability to kind of pair that up with being able to cast spells from everybody's graveyards seemed like a good idea. But this mana base just it made me suck out all of the very expensive cards out of the deck. I wasn't allowed to play a $7.50 mean bet. But cEdh version probably plays Mnemonic Betrayal. Now I need to shut up a little bit and let's get to checking out some hands. Nope. Yep, we would probably keep this. Nope, sorry. Alright, so we're on our second 7. Yeah, we've got a pretty good path to a combo here. We've got ramp. We don't have any interaction, which is kind of rough. Too many lands. Probably would start that way. And then this way. And we could go 1, 2, 3, 4. We could get our commander out right away. It is indestructible, which is a little bit. It's a little something. Or we could go Wishclaw and then like get ready to go instep, opt. I don't know if I want to just run the commander out with no backup plan. Damn, it's a lot of lands. Next turn. Well, we've got mana for days, that's for sure. I mean, at some point we are going to want to cast the damn commander, right? I just don't want to leave him out there all naked and alone. Although, then that would kind of maybe let us sneak the combo through. We'll just keep developing. We're not a turbo deck, although definitely Hermit Druid can turbo. We definitely can turbo. Yeah, maybe this is going to give us what we need to feel confident. So 1, 2, this dies. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana gives us enough mana to cast our commander and then put the Umbral Mantle. Okay, so there's our boots, and we move the boots back and forth here, and we mill out. This could be fun. Could this be fun? Yeah, sure. Second 7, we'll keep it. Turn 1 Dork is always a good start. Going to turn 2. Turn 2 Soul Ring. We like that. So we unfortunately can't really cast our commander yet, which is fine. Let's go Soul Ring. Let's get our boots out. Then we could either hold up the counter spell and negate. If we were reasonable and responsible adults, that's what we'd do. Since we're goldfishing, let's just cast the preordained. Green, black, blue, colorless. Green, black, blue, colorless. Then use the colorless from the Swiftfoot boots. Equip Swiftfoot. Goddamn, Swiftfoot boots. Ranker this bitch up. And now we have got an indestructible, hexproof, hasty, 4-powered commander on turn 3 that is going to be swinging through to take the top 4 off of somebody's deck and cast whatever they've got. It's 2 to equip, and we want to hold up our Dispel anyway. So we'll go to our next turn, and now we're going to do some nastiness. Now's when things get nasty. So we can equip this 1, 2. It was speak now or forever hold your peace. If they didn't speak, they hold their peace. And the way this is looking, they might end up resting in it, because that is 5 power, and this is an invigorate on top of it. That's 9, right? So just imagine like 9. That's so crazy. And this is like playing pretty conservatively. I'm not cheating. We're not mulling real deep. We still are holding up interaction. If this doesn't find a way to win us the game, which it very well could, we have 9 cards deep. We would start throwing out the shit that's really scary first and expect that our opponents are going to, interact with it. They're going to try to stop us from what it looks like we're doing, or maybe we really would be assembling another win con and they'd have to stop it. Then once they're like out of interaction, we'll play the 1-mana Dork for free and then cast our Neoform, and then we'll still have mana up to protect it. And then when it comes back to our turn, we can activate the Hermit Druid and win the game. Now that's assuming that we didn't find other shit to do and get it through. So this is a little bit tough to goldfish, but hopefully you're seeing what I'm seeing. I did not expect that to be that long. All right, so until next time. I'm Navinad, the Budget Pub Stomper, and this has been Kotis. She's not a he. They are a zombie warrior. They are not the Budget Pub Stomper, but they are like a curb stomper. Till next time, peace be with you and also with you. Not so much you. You know who you are. You know what you did. You know why you don't deserve the peace. Peace off. Namaste, nerds. That's it. I'm just going to keep it short today. Word to your mothers.